First off, as an American citizen, how do you feel about what you've witnessed there over the last several hours?
Well, I think that a phrase applies here that has applied to a lot of what we've seen during the Trump presidency, which is shocking but not surprising. I think everyone who's viewing this should be appalled and that it is a dark day for our democracy. On the other hand, the president has been teasing that this is what he wants for a long time. These are individuals who've been fed a steady diet of misinformation from the top down, and they're acting on that misinformation now. They have a sincere belief, despite the complete lack of evidence, that this was a fraudulent election. They think that they're protecting the democracy, not attacking it. We probably should have known this was coming, and here it is.
Yeah. Are you surprised there wasn't a greater security present at the Capitol to prevent people getting inside?
I would say so, yes. I think that the city knew this was coming too. Certainly, they knew about the rally. And my understanding, although there are some conflicting reports on it, is that the DC police can't come onto the Capitol grounds and do security there essentially unless they're asked to, and they hadn't been asked to. So I believe that that was part of the problem. And of course, the DC National Guard wasn't put into effect, wasn't called in until after this storming had already happened, until after there were already rioters in the Capitol.
Yeah. And how does this reflect then on the Trump presidency, that this is the way he is going out, whipping up a crowd on these baseless claims? There is no evidence that the election was stolen from him. All these people believe it, these people who were protesting there today. He has been the president who has staked his presidency to a degree on these claims of fake news everywhere, and he is the man of truth. And yet he's finishing his presidency whipping these people up into a frenzy on these absolutely baseless claims.
Well, yes, this essentially epitomizes what his presidency has been and epitomizes what he has been all about all along, which is basically grift, and he's a grifter. And you'll remember that Donald Trump started his political career here with the birther lie that President Obama wasn't born in the United States, and he has just gone on lying ever since, promising things that he can't deliver in order to elevate himself, in order to make money off the back of his high office, and in order generally to stroke his own ego. So I think that this is his final disgrace. It hopefully is final. Hopefully it's the worst damage that he can do. But it really is what we've been building up to for years now.
What does this say about the US that he was able to take the presidency in the first place then?
Well, nothing good. I think it says a few things. One of those things is that we don't really share reality as much as we thought we did, and as much, of course, as we wish we did. These are people who believe in a totally different set of facts, and it's going to be really difficult to restore a shared reality if it's possible at all in the future. I think what else it shows is that there are a lot of cowardly people in elected office who didn't stand up to this guy because they were afraid that it would hurt their own electoral fortunes. And of course, we saw today during the certification of the vote that some of them finally are standing up. That's good. It made today a lot less bad than it could have been. You know, that includes Mitch McConnell, of course, and that includes Kevin McCarthy. But these are also the same people who refused to impeach and then convict the president. These are also the same people who refused to counter his lies so long as all of this went on. And that only allowed these myths, this propaganda, to fester and to animate people more and to spread even farther. And that's how you get a crowd that comes and storms the Capitol.
And what about the fact that Mike Pence actually refused to do his bidding in the end?
Right. I think Mike Pence is one of those people who was a Trump lapdog all along and now finally seems not quite as willing to sit in the president's lap anymore. Of course, that's better than it would be for the alternative. But you have to kind of wonder, well, how much credit do we give Mike Pence? We want to give credit to people who stand up in the end because we don't want to dissuade people from standing up ever. On the other hand, if one good act of refusal to continue to delegitimize our democracy can completely wipe out all the delegitimization efforts that have gone on in the past, that's really not a message you want to send either. So it's a tough line for those people to walk who are trying to make sure this doesn't happen ever again.
And Molly, we've just had this other significant news through this morning in terms of US politics, that the Democrats have won that second seat in Georgia as well. What does that mean for the coming couple of years for the Biden presidency?
Well, I am sure that all those in the Biden administration are a lot happier than they were. This means that there are several legislative priorities that they'll be able to get through. It means that confirmations, whether it is for cabinet members or whether it's for judges, will be possible, because essentially what the Democrats have here is this 50-50 majority. The reason it's a majority is because the vice president, Kamala Harris, gets to cast the tie-breaking vote. But that doesn't mean the Democrats will be able to do everything they want to do. First of all, they'd have to eliminate the filibuster if they wanted not to have Republicans filibuster some of their more ambitious efforts. And second of all, there are Democrats like Joe Manchin of West Virginia who won't necessarily go along with the boldest proposals that Democrats have. So what's going to happen is the progressives are going to have to say, all right, here are some center-left things that we can maybe get done. And then perhaps they're going to have to step back from some of the more dramatic things that they might want to be attempting. DC statehood is a great example of one of those. I think it's hard to do some of those things, even if they're the right things to do, with only a 50-50 majority.
And Molly, just finally, Donald Trump would point to the state of the economy and unemployment as evidence of his legacy and the stock market. Looking at the Trump presidency over the last 4 years, presuming he is going to exit somehow over the next couple of weeks, what has been his record broadly?
I think that as far as the stock market goes, you can see how it kind of leapt up today at the prospect of unified Democratic control. But the stock market has never been a very good indicator of the state of the economy. There were some ways in which the economy was making improvements under Trump's presidency. On the other hand, if you look at what he has done, how horrible the response to the pandemic has been, and the way that that has been allowed to sink the economy, pretty much any of those gains that were legitimate, were wiped away. I think that the coronavirus response and the toll that it has racked on the economy, but also on human life here, really shows that you can't lead a country the way he tried to lead it, that it will result in people dying, and that is even worse than the degrading of democratic norms that has occurred and that we've seen in its final stages today.
Yeah. Okay, Molly Roberts, thanks so much for talking to us from Washington.
Thanks for having me.